Hi, everyone. Good evening. It is call number 3. Tonight we're going to be talking about generating leads because it's a verb. It's something we do. It's not something that happens to us. So I'd like to welcome you all to the call tonight. And for those of you that are watching the video, welcome to you as well. So I did post a video for everyone to watch this week. Who watched it?
This Deborah, I did.
Oh, good. I'd like to hear a thought for each one of you that watched it. I'd like to hear a thought of what you thought about it. Well, what did you take away from it?
Need to learn to speak less and stop using filler words like I use a lot.
Okay, all right. And why do you think that is?
I think it makes your conversation a little bit smoother. It doesn't seem the pauses like that. I have no idea. Trying to think of how to word it.
Do you think it says something about being prepared?
Yes.
Okay.
It makes you look more professional too.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
It makes you seem more confident when you don't have to struggle for words.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true, Deborah. Any other ideas?
The one that stood out to me is being interested in the other person's needs.
Okay. All right.
It's not all about me.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes we just lose that thought. I think that, we don't mean to do that, but it's just the realization that to make the effort to really make it. Hi, Bianca.
Hi.
To make it so that, we are thinking to put what's in it for them. What's in it for them. Awesome. Who else watched the video?
I haven't.
Okay. All right.
No, I like how they have when someone's trying to communicate something with you, asking them more questions to get more information instead of giving your opinion right away. Just keep trying to get deeper into what they want.
Right. They don't really care about your opinion. They want to know what's worked for you, and when a teacher is ready, when a student is ready, a teacher will appear. So I've learned, one of the things I learned, and it took me a long time to learn this, quite frankly, is that I respond to questions. I don't tell them everything. What they want to know, they're going to ask you.
You are so good for that.
But you know what, you guys, I learned it. It's not something that is innate, and this is something I really hope that you all see, that what we do, especially as leaders or as consultants, we learn one step at a time, and but did you enjoy the video?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about generating leads. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is there's a little bit of backup or a little bit of ground story about generating leads. Lori, what do you think about when we think about generating leads? I have a light that's going off and on. It's going to go off anyway. Lori, do you want? I'll unmute you. Oh, what do you think about when you think about generating leads? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Making connections.
Making connections? Yeah, very good, very good. Mm-hmm. Well, and we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. And the thing about it is that you know a lot of this stuff already. But in order for us to generate leads and to be confident about what we want from our business, because they actually just told us how important, or Deborah just told us how important it is to be confident, I'm going to share with you something called the 90-day tracker. Have any of you been exposed to the 90-day tracker before?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If I have, I've forgotten it.
Okay. And you know what? And that is so true, because I remember distinctly talking with one of our consultants who wasn't recruiting as much as she had in the past. And she's like, my recruiting is really in the slump. I said, are you using your 90-day tracker? And she says, you know what? I've forgotten about it. Oops, excuse me. So do you see the 90-day tracker on your screen here?
Yep.
And I will share this. Now, do any of you use this as a tool? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, I'm going to, I think there might be one posted on Joe Pack, but I will make sure. This may be an updated one. But this is, again, depending on, if leadership, I think many of you want leadership, don't you? Many of you want leadership. So directorship is important to you, especially the 6,000 points you're going to get for becoming a director. Isn't it 6,000 points you get for becoming a director?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and how many shows is 6,000 points worth? Average show?
Like 12.
Like 8, 10.
Mm-hmm. If it's a $500 show, it's 12.
Yeah.
So, would you rather do 12 shows or help bless someone with our favorite chef business? Anyway, this is the place to start about, the director requirements. But and I'm not going to go too much into that. We can talk about that later. But it's really important that you plan monthly what you want to do. Okay, now who remembers? I'm going to have to let a dog out. She's not going to leave me alone until I let her out. Come on. Ruby, stop it. Okay. This is a numbers game. How many of you really hate numbers? Any of you really hate numbers? You know what, you guys? You can fight it all you want.
When they work against me, I do.
Oh, well, the reality of the situation. Again, it's for me. I don't really. I like a challenge. Mm-hmm. And I try not to compare myself to other people. But, of course, I think, if Marna can do it, I can do it. But the averages are averages. And I think it's important to know averages. I think it's important to know the company averages. And I also think it's important to know where your average is. So if I tell you that the average Pampered Chef party, I think live party is about $600. And the virtual party, I think, is about $400. Those are guidelines for you to be working for. And if you're not reaching those guidelines, don't you want to raise your average? Don't you want to get more bang for your buck? Not just because you're making more money, but if your show average is higher, what else is that saying? You're probably getting in front of more people, right? And when you're getting in front of more people, what's happening?
Sharing more.
You're sharing. Hi, Mary. You're sharing more
opportunities.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, somebody else said something?
More opportunities to make connections.
For bookings, for recruits, and of course, customers. So again, it's not even so much that you're going to make more money. It is you're losing momentum every time you don't maximize what you're doing. Does that make sense? So that's a challenge for you to think about. So looking at your, I actually think I would like to change this a little bit because it doesn't talk about sales. It doesn't talk about averages, and but of course attendance and making sure people are taking information home about the business opportunity at every show is important. But the whole point is that you really do want to keep track of your numbers. You want to know how many people you're getting to your shows. And quite frankly, I don't know right now how many, what that average is. But using the 90-day tracker, because you want to look at what's going on for at least, you want to get into the habit of really doing this every month. And I remember when I first started with Pampered Chef, I was doing a lot of training with Belinda Ellsworth. A lot of you know who Belinda Ellsworth is, right?
Mm-hmm.
She always advocated what we called, I'm trying to find how to stop share, what she called reporting. And she always advocated that you reported to your director every month, or they did actually every week, that, what's going on, how many shows you have coming up, how many bookings you got this week, and that kind of thing. So I'm really going to encourage you and to really look at that, because if you know what, again, the magic number, right? If I could promise you a perfect business and everyone you met wanted to do a show, or if I could put as many shows as you wanted on your calendar for you, if you could go to the store, the booking store, and spend $1 for every booking you wanted, how many shows a month would that be? And you need to know that, because when you're looking at your tracker and you're getting that number, how do you feel about your business? If you
Feel good.
you feel good, don't you?
Yes.
And what happens when you feel good?
It just keeps
You build momentum.
You
going.
build momentum. You're excited. You're enthusiastic. And you know what? People don't say no to enthusiastic people. They just don't say no to enthusiastic people. So this is why it's important when you're out generating leads that you have that mindset of again, being professional about what you want from your business, what's happening. Maybe your average isn't where you want it to be. Maybe, and it's not a reason to feel terrible about it. It's like, I know what to do. I'm going to make this better. I'm going to be more effective. I'm going to help my host get more free product. I'm going to help make more money. I'm going to help get more leads. And it's all just a cycle. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Do you have any questions about that? Okay. Because I'm going to tell you that when you have a follow-up and a follow-through attitude, when you're out doing your shows, you're going to have a lot better results. You're going to be recruiting people. So I really encourage you to, have your sales goals and have your goals written down. And again, if you need help with that, if you don't have that done and you're not sure what the next step is for you, your director, I would just love to talk with you about that. All right. And again, it's not like, we're your boss. We want to help coach you. Our job is to help you get your business to where you want it to be. All right. So we talked a little bit last week about being timid or being pushy. It's at two ends of the spectrum, and somewhere in the middle, we want to come up with being assertive, not aggressive, and not pushy. And that's really important too, because again, if you know what you want from your business, you're not going to be timid about, making phone calls.
Going after it.
Now, do you all know where to look for our Pampered Chef compensation plan?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You all know where to look for that. So again, if you're a consultant, what the next level is and what you have to do to get there. Again, if you don't know what that is, don't be shy, ask, because that's really important. You have to know where you want to go on your map of your business. Now, the thing about it is you really have to learn to master bookings. And do any of you feel like you master bookings? Do you know how to get bookings?
Working on it daily.
Okay. And that's at some point we have to decide, I know what I'm doing. Okay. And if you had, as long as you know what to do, and hopefully you've had enough training to know what to do. And some of you might be new and you might feel still that you need that training. But I'm going to tell you what, after, 27 years, it's going to be in April. My schedule may not be where I want it to be, but it's my fault if it's not, because I know what to do. I own that. I know what to do. And so again, at some point, the training has to stop and the action has to take in. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Don't be timid, ask, be persistent and determined with your goal. Let's see here. I've got so many notes I wanted to talk about. Now, really reflect on how many parties you close every month. Again, make sure that you're getting to your magic number. And again, really, in 1 month, you should be able to meet your magic number. If you're really committed to, your business and the growth of your business, it should not take you more than a month to get to your magic number. one of the things I want you to remember too is that 70% of the consultants in any direct sales business started out as a host. So you always want to have that in mind when you're building your relationship with your hosts. And so, that you want to have that recruiting climate, that thought in your head about, a lot of times your host is looking at what you're doing. And if you, ask the questions and peeled away, we're going to talk a little bit about that later, you can uncover that. When you're doing parties, remember that you're attracting influencers, people who influence other people. I mean, have you noticed that, like, sometimes when you do a party, they have somebody's going to invite 20 people and somebody's going to invite 100 people. Well, the people who have the larger numbers are your influencers. They influence other people. So you want to keep your eye on that. But you're also looking for followers. Anybody feel like you have some Paper Chef groupies?
Yeah.
Yeah. You do, Mary? It's fun, isn't it? You're saying two?
Two for sure. That always click on everything.
Okay.
But I've been getting a lot more followers on my business page. So I don't know what I'm doing different, but it's starting to work finally.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, just keep that up. That's right. And I know that Bianca and Lori and people who do a lot of virtual parties might have some suggestions with that. But
I wanted to give a tip, if I could, on if we were talking, we're talking about hosts, and our hosts are going to be our number one. Our host is going to be our number one person, to reach out to. That's a given. But something that I do is when I go over the host rewards, the last thing I tell them about is, I'll say, well, the last benefit that you get as a hostess is if you have ever thought about coming into the business, you can take a kit credit of $25 or $50 of your free and apply it to your kit costs to bring that down. And I give them a coupon in their host packet. So they kind of already seen that. But I just put it into the host rewards. And so that kind of puts the foot in the door where I ask them, have you ever thought about this, and see what they say. And kind of go from there. If they're like, I've thought about it, but I'm just, I'm not quite sure, and just answer any questions they have. And then again, at the end of the party, hey, you got, $115 in free. Have you thought more about the business? You could take $50 off of your kit costs. So bring it up a couple of times,
And I think that's such a great point, Lori, because, well, first of all, you're offering a host benefit. I mean, you wouldn't think of not telling them about their half-price items. You would think about not telling them about their free, excuse me, and, the kit credit is just another host benefit.
right?
And the other thing I was going to mention is that even if they say no, you might think, oh, I probably shouldn't have said anything. I'm being too pushy. The bottom line is you're sowing a seed. And like Lori said, you ask them again and it might click,
Yeah.
They might say, so you're sowing seeds all the time. People are watching you, even if they don't realize they're watching you. So sprinkle that. So that's an excellent
You
point.
would be surprised that people, once you ask them, people will say, yeah, I've actually considered it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they're not going to come out and tell us.
No.
They're just not.
No.
It's just our human nature,
Mm-hmm.
But if we ask them a question, have you ever thought about it? They'll come out and say, actually, I have. Or, yeah, I did. I was a direct sales for another company. It just didn't work out so well. I've had a lot of that lately. And what my answer is to that is I had a host last week, and she does lip syncs. So I was trying to help her with host coaching, and oh my gosh, it was like I just couldn't get her to do anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody. And she had like 4 people in her party. which no orders yet, but anyway. But I told her, I said, well, the difference between Pampered Chef and other companies, such as maybe like makeup, you have a select amount of people that you can go to, you know, where Pampered Chef is a lot different. So that's why I told her, I said, think about anybody you can invite to your party. It doesn't matter if they're men, women, old, young, don't cook, cooks, college kids. I mean, you know, and I told her, I said, it's just, you know, we're set apart. And I tell these to people at, you know, recruiting too, that Pampered Chef is just so set apart from other companies because our tools can benefit everybody.
They're very practical. They're very practical. I mean, everybody eats.
Yeah.
Everybody eats. Yeah, and that's so true.
Invite anybody that eats to your party.
Yeah. I know one of the things I like to say to anybody else who's in direct sales is like, what do you do with all those bookings? You know, because they're not getting bookings, but we do.
Yeah.
I did want to mention I did a live party last night, and I think there were 9 people at the party. Actually, Thomas Looks was there, and he videoed it. And I will be sharing my video, although it's wild. It's not any textbook party, but it's a real party. And there were 9 people there. I had 4 maybes and 1 yes. And then 2 of the people who said no, or one person said no, another one didn't answer. They decided to go in together to do a Dinner's Done workshop. So basically, I had 6 bookings from the party.
Wow.
And but I will tell you, and again, you'll see it. But I set up my maybes when I do my door price slip that if you'd like to have a show when you want to have it, put yes. If you're not sure when you want to have it, put maybe, because then it's just a maybe waiting for a date. You know, so that's how I pull the maybes out. But anyway, it's again, I'm telling them by saying that, I'm telling them how to answer. And I think that is something, it's the communication we talked a little bit about last week. And again, what Lori said too, while we were talking about recruiting, you know, if you can really relate that to your bookings as well, to people to host, that, you know, they're thinking about it, and even for our guests at our parties, it's very practical, you know. And I got to tell you, one of the things that I really am trying to push a lot is somebody's turning 21 every year. Somebody's turning 21 every year. People are getting married every year. They need Pampered Chef in their kitchen. And you know, and I would really encourage you to tell your hosts that. Now, whether you know, there's a difference between your calendar being empty or your calendar being full, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not rocket science to get it full, you guys. It's really not. It's not that hard. And I'm going to encourage you to not make it hard. And hopefully you'll get some more ideas because it's really more about the fear of rejection than it is anything else. We've got some background noise going on. Somebody might want to mute out, please. Because, you know, the phone is not dead. I think that sometimes people want to hide behind messaging. They might want to hide behind Facebook messages or texting or emails. And you know what? If that's all working for you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But for those of you that are not getting the results you want, I encourage you to pick up the phone. You know, sometimes we want to hide behind things and take the passive road. And I hope you know the difference between being passive and being assertive. Again, I'm not saying aggressive. All right. So, you know, people are actually craving personal interaction. They really are, you guys. And that came up again in my party last night. They want to hear from you. And remember, if they gave you their phone number, they wouldn't give you their phone number if they didn't, you know, if they didn't want you to call them. I mean, so I would bet that if you text 50 people to ask for a booking versus if you called 10 people, I'll bet you would get more bookings from the 10 phone calls than you would the 50 texts. That's just my guess. But I'm going to really encourage you, you know, you all know what the Franks list is, right? Hopefully you've been on the Sunday night training, and we talk about the Franks list a lot and how to target the Franks list. But I really encourage you when you go to make some contacts, you start with a small list. And I'm going to recommend 5 to 10. And if you've been in the business more than a year, I really encourage you to go back and target your past hosts for the year. Actually, if you've been in the business longer than 2 years, I really like to do, especially 2 years ago. People that are like 2 years, that 2-year mark, they really like to hear from you. Now, let me see here. Don't make assumptions when you're calling people about anything. Don't assume that they don't want to have another party just because they had one, 6 months. Or anybody have shows but rebook in 6 months or a year?
I have.
Yeah, they do. So don't be afraid to make those phone calls and let them know. And make the phone calls with a servant's heart. And then, refer back to something that they bought. Maybe, one of the great things you can do with the Pampered Chef website is to go back and look to see what they purchased and talk about the highest price item that they bought. They bought the rock crock, the everyday rock crock. Are you using it? What recipes do you like? Do you need any ideas? What do you love about it? Make sure they love it. And that way, of course, if they're not using it as much, or they need, I forgot I had that, I haven't gotten it out. There's just so many different things that you can bring up. And then you can let the conversation go to something you're excited about this month. And again, what's going to excite you might be different than what excites me. But to me, it's always a recipe. The new quick cooker, I am just crazy over it. I did a Buddha bowl recipe last night because my host was a vegetarian. And I tried a recipe. Here I am. I walk in. I had never made the recipe before, but I'm so confident with the quick cooker that was not hard for me. I wouldn't recommend, if you're not confident with their product or a recipe, to go in and try it for the first time. But after 27 years, I'm pretty comfortable doing that. Okay, but you all know your Frank's list, and you all know that's friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, friends of your kids, and friends of your spouse, or social media. So you need to connect with people and make the phone calls, or even in your text. If you don't know what someone is thinking, you have to ask, right?
Yep.
I mean, so you know what? Consultants let people get on the fence. Do any of you feel like you have somebody on the fence right now? You're not sure where they are, where they stand? You let them get there. And it's a hard reality. It might seem a little harsh. But people get on the fence because you let them. And you know why? Because you're afraid for no. You're afraid to ask the question. You're afraid to unpeel that onion of information about, what would keep you from doing, what would keep you from having a party? What keeps you from, if it's not a no, if it's not a blatant no, there's still some conditions that might be able to be answered by them. I've got so many notes, but we're already running out of time. Because would any of you feel that people that get on the fence creates anxiety for you? I mean, you think about, I'm not going to call him, I can't contact him, I feel funny about it. Anyone else feel that way?
Makes me want to call him.
Does it really? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a challenge to me.
Okay.
To get him on my calendar.
Uh-huh. I love that.
When they're dangling in front of me with it's like a carrot, and it's like, you have to call me, you have to convince me to have this party. So
that's why you're so successful, Lori. That's a great lesson for everybody right there. That's a great lesson.
I agree with Lori.
Mm-hmm.
You like a challenge, Mary?
I like
a challenge.
Challenge too. I had a recruit lead I talked to just before the Zoom call, and she's on the fence. It's like, I'm like 90% there. She says, but I'm just not sure. I said, well, can I call you in 2 days? And she said, okay. So I'm calling her in 2 days.
Would you like an idea on that?
Pardon me?
Would you like an idea on that?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, crap. I just had it in my mind and I can't think of it. I'll think of it.
I would have asked her maybe what's that 10% that's keeping you back?
Yeah.
I know what it is from talking to her last week. She's got 10 grandkids, just retired, and she's trying to go to every kid's events.
And she can still do that.
That's what I told her. So
yeah. Because with the business, you put your family first and you work your business around your family. It's not the other way around. And some people, it's hard for them to realize that because we have all worked out in the real world when someone tells us what we got to do. You know, so it is scary for them to realize that.
Does someone have someone with the TV on in the background?
Can you turn it down?
Okay. Okay. All right. One of the things I want to show you, I'm going to share my screen because I want to get, I really want you to see this. This is anatomy of a phone call. If you're not sure what to say or what to do, again, because you want to be prepared when you're making phone calls, or again, even when you're doing texts. You want to call them, of course, call them by their name, and then tell them, of course, who you are, and then ask them how they are. And again, this seems very basic, but then you need to listen. This is not the time for you to think about what you're going to say next. All right, this is the time for you to listen, because why do you want to listen to what they say? It gives you more information to relate Pampered Chef to them, right?
Yep, because this whole thing can go out the window. You can sit there for 30 minutes and go over exactly what you're going to say, but after you say, how are you, your whole thing just went out the window.
Right. Because if you are wanting to think about what's in it for them, individually, that helps you. Now, of course, you want to be prepared because you want to have a reason why you're calling them. Now, one of the great things to do too is, like, let's just say we came back from conference. I just had this great training. I'm really excited about sharing some things with you. But before I tell you about that, have you given any thoughts about doing what I do? Because this is a great time. My business is really taking off, and it's going to go places this year, and I would just love to have you along with me. Is that something you feel you could say? Uh-oh.
Yep.
Nobody's saying yes.
Oh, I was muted. Yes.
Well, then you could go into, again, if it's no, or, of course, if it's yes, you know where to take it. But I'm calling you because our new catalog is coming out in March. Or I've just learned this new recipe. If you're not still booked for January, it might be. I have this new recipe I tried, and I would love for you to get your friends together so we could show it to them. And if they say, well, I would like to do that, you might say something like, well, listen, what are you doing this weekend? How about, can you get 5 friends together? Let's just put it together. Make it very simple, very light. Let's get it together. All right, so you can have a party this month. So why think about putting them into March, putting them into February when you could get them right now. Do not be talking about the new catalog until your January is full and your February is full. It's really easy to book a virtual party right for tomorrow, right?
Yes.
It happens all the time, you guys, so get on that bandwagon. Or you could say something like, I thought of you because I know you love your rock crock, and did you and they may not have the stand. Did you know we have a quick cooker stand for it, or slow cooker stand for it? So again, you're going to want to do a little bit of homework to make this call very effective for them. All right.
And something else real quick, if you guys wanted to focus on, you're probably thinking, where do I get these contacts from? Do I go into parties and start calling, or what? You can run a report on the website if you just want to work on rock crocks to make it a little bit easier for you. And you can call everybody that has purchased a rock crock from you in the last 6 months. And you could pretty much have the same conversation with them, and that'll kind of make it easier for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would really look back what they bought and, what highest priced item. A lot of times, something I do and I probably should do is I ask people, what product did you not get tonight? What product did you leave behind? So that, if it's, let's just say it's a food shopper, you could make the food shopper your product of the month if you want to. Book a party in the month of February, and I'll give you the food shopper as my gift. You know, that might be just the thing that turns her on. If you know what she wants, if you ask. Then ask for the booking. You know what? And don't say, want to book a party. Don't say book a party. Do you want to book a party? What are your thoughts on getting some friends together, trying a new recipe? What are your thoughts on getting together and have a good time? Which works better for you, a show in the evening or a show on the weekend? You know, and then if it's yes, guide them to pick a date. Don't let you know, if you're live, don't let them just look at your calendar. You know, again, if you're taking the Sunday night training, you know that you book your personal things in before you schedule your shows so that you can work your business alongside your family. Of course, it's a little bit different if you're doing virtual parties. But, you know, of course, if you're doing virtual parties, you want to get them started right away. Why mess around? And then if they say maybe, pencil them in. Like I mentioned, you know, if you know when you'd like to have a show, say yes. If you're not sure when you want to have it, say maybe. And then you know it's just a show waiting to date. And then if it's no, it's who do you know? Please write those words down and say that. Who do you know? Ask for referrals. Everybody knows the party girl. Everybody knows someone who is well connected. Those are the people you want them to refer you to. So start with your Franks list. Call 5 or 10 people. Have your magic number. Do not let the sun go down until you have tried. You know, sometimes if I'm doing 5 calls and it's like it's not my night, you know, I might stop. But if I'm making calls and everybody's booking, and that's sometimes how it happens, keep making phone calls. Don't let the sun go down until you get that number. And just keep going. And let your host be your ambassador, like Lori was saying. The reason we have that booking benefit, the future booking benefit, is so that your host is rewarded for those bookings. And she's going to say, listen, I want that quick hooker at half price. Book your party. In fact, one of my friends just told me today, she says she's having another party next week. She had a party last year. One of her friends booked a party and never had it. She says, you know, you never booked that party with Karen. I didn't have to say anything. It's kind of nice. Mm-hmm. So let your host be your ambassador. So I hope that helps you a little bit about generating leads, the attitude you need, the approach you need. Again, if you need help with that, it is absolutely something that you can, you know, get over. You know, you might have to tweak what you're saying. You might have to take a different tact. But people do not say no to enthusiasm, you guys. What do you think? Questions? We got about less than a minute. Did you learn anything? Oh,
yeah.
No. No. Oh, no. Well, I'm going to have some more homework for you. And I look forward to having you again next week. Any comments, anything you want to say? We got, you know, we can talk to the Lynn's. Are you going to get on the phone?
Yes.
Are you going to make some texts? Are you going to, again, if texting and messaging works well for you, I know I'm old fashioned. I know I'm 64, but people like the phone still.
If you think of what you were going to say about my recruit lead, text me or call me, please.
What's holding you back? What is holding you back?
What is holding you back?